Unlicensed 18-year-old driver slapped with 3 charges. Dwayne Harris, an 18-year-old laborer from Lot 253 Onderneming Sand Pit, Essequibo Coast, has been charged with multiple offenses related to driving without a valid license. The specific charges are as follows. Failure to have ID mark, rear, contrary to Section 13 of the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, Chapter 51:02. Unlicensed driver, contrary to Section 23(1) of the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, Chapter 51:02. Breach of insurance, contrary to Section 3(1) of the Motor Vehicles Insurance Traffic, Third-Party Risk, Act, Chapter 51:03. Harris was arrested on Wednesday, February 19, 2025, on the Onderneming Sand Pittsburgh Access Road. The charges were presented at the Suddy Magistrates Court on February 21, 2025, before Magistrate Tamika Clark, where he pleaded guilty to all charges. For the failure to have ID mark, rear, charge, Harris was fined $50,000, with a default sentence of 1 month imprisonment. For the unlicensed driver charge, he was fined $25,000, also with a default of 1 month imprisonment. For the breach of insurance charge, he received a fine of $20,000, again with a default of 1 month imprisonment. Harris's total fines amount to $95,000. If he fails to pay, he will serve a total of 3 months imprisonment. Police are investigating the alleged drowning of Sita Ghani. GPF, police are investigating the alleged drowning of Sita Ghani, a 44-year-old housewife of Lot 65 Garden of Eden, East Bank Demerara, which occurred at Aziza Akusa Creek, Madawini, Sosdike Linden Highway on February 24, 2025 at about 17:30 HRS. Inquiries disclosed that at about 1400 hours HRS on the said date, the deceased, Sita Ghani, along with her husband Vijay Ghani, a 45-year-old contractor of the above-mentioned address and other relatives went to the creek for a family outing. Further inquiries disclosed that at about 1700 hours HRS, Vijay and his wife were in the water along with other relatives when he left and went to take a drink. A few minutes later, he saw his relatives exit the water but did not see his wife. He immediately raised an alarm and began making checks but could not locate her. About 15 minutes later, he found her motionless body submerged in the creek and immediately rushed her to the Diamond Diagnostic Center, where she was pronounced dead on arrival by Dr. James at about 18:22 HRS. The body of the deceased was checked for marks of violence, but none were seen. Vijay Ghani related that his wife normally suffers from epileptic seizures and that she might have had an attack while she was in the water. The body of the deceased was escorted to the Memorial Gardens Funeral Home, awaiting a post-mortem examination. Retired Assistant Commissioner of Police charged with breach of anonymity. HGP Nightly News. Retired Assistant Commissioner of Police and former Chairman of the Police Service Commission, Mr. Paul Slough, CCH, DSM, appeared before Chief Magistrate, AG, Faith McGusty at the Georgetown Magistrates Court on Wednesday morning, where he pleaded not guilty to a charge of breaching the anonymity of a complainant in press reporting, contrary to Section 62(3) of the Sexual Offences Act. Mr. Slough was represented by a team of attorneys including Mr. Nigel Hughes, Mrs. Dawn Cush, and Ms. Narissa Leander. Last Friday, February 21, 2025, he attended the Brick Dam Police Station, where he was informed of the charge and subsequently placed on $200,000 station bail. The charge stems from an alleged incident in which Mr. Slough reportedly named the complainant in a sexual assault case currently being heard by Senior Magistrate Fabio Azor in Court 3. During the hearing, Mrs. Dawn Cush made an application for bail, emphasizing Mr. Slough's good character. She noted that he retired as an Assistant Commissioner of Police in 2010 after 37 years of service in the Guyana Police Force and served as Chairman of the Police Service Commission from 2018 until his removal in 2021, coinciding with the onset of his legal troubles. She highlighted that Mr. Slough had consistently appeared in person for all his court dates. The Chief Magistrate granted bail at a reduced sum of $50,000 with no objections from the prosecution. Attorney-at-law Nigel Hughes subsequently applied for Mr. Slough to leave the jurisdiction. He referenced a ruling in the David Patterson case, where Chief Justice A.G. Roxanne George Wiltshire indicated that such applications must be made before a magistrate. The Chief Magistrate approved this application, and the matter was adjourned to March 5, 2025, for discovery. Mr. Slough was previously involved in a different case, where charges related to a $10 million fraud were dismissed on December 27, 2023, due to the prosecution's failure to prove its case. The sexual assault case against Mr. Slough has been adjourned to March 7, 2025. Wanted man arrested months after fatal stabbing of brother-in-law in Corriverton. Terrence Simon Adams, a 29-year-old man wanted in connection with the fatal stabbing of his brother-in-law, Michael Jackson, was apprehended on Tuesday afternoon at his home in No. 76 Housing Scheme, Corriverton. Acting on newly obtained information, police officers arrived at Adams's residence around 2 p.m. They informed him of the allegations before taking him into custody. He was subsequently transported to the Springlands police station, where he remains while investigations continue. Michael Jackson, also known as Junior, from No. 72 Village, Correntine, was fatally stabbed on October 10, 2024, following a dispute with Adams. The two men, both fishermen who had previously enjoyed a good relationship, reportedly clashed over matters concerning Adams's children. An argument escalated into a physical altercation, which ultimately turned deadly. On the night of the stabbing, around 9 p.m., Jackson informed his sister, Selena Gobbin, that he had been attacked. She promptly wrapped his wound with a shirt and, along with neighbors, rushed him to Skeldon Public Hospital, where he succumbed to his injuries. Adams's arrest marks a significant development in the case, which had remained unresolved for several months. The police are continuing their investigation into the circumstances surrounding the stabbing and the events leading up to it. Businessman charged with murder of young partner. Newsroom. Marlon Da Silva, a city businessman, has been charged with the murder of his reputed wife and remanded to prison following the tragic incident that occurred days earlier. Da Silva appeared before Magistrate Wanda Fortune at the Diamond Magistrates Court on Wednesday, where he faced the serious charge of murder. During the hearing, he was not required to plead to the indictable charge, and the case has been adjourned to March 21, 2025. The charge was filed by the police in accordance with legal advice received from the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP. The violent incident reportedly took place at the couple's residence in Diamond Housing Scheme, East Bank Demerara, shortly after Da Silva returned home on Saturday night. Details surrounding the circumstances of the shooting remain under investigation as the community grapples with the shocking event. Nandlal objects to defendants appearing virtually for court cases while outside Guyana. In a recent commentary, Attorney General Anil Nandlal expressed strong opposition to the practice of allowing defendants facing criminal charges to attend court hearings virtually while outside of Guyana. He emphasized that such an approach undermines the territorial nature of criminal jurisdiction. The shift to virtual hearings, initially adopted during the pandemic, has since become a permanent aspect of Guyana's court system. While it has provided benefits, such as reducing travel costs and enabling prisoners in remote facilities to participate in hearings, Nandlal raised concerns about a troubling trend in magistrate courts. He noted that some defendants, after leaving the country for various reasons, have been permitted to attend court hearings via video link. Nandlal argued that this practice poses significant issues, as criminal jurisdiction is inherently territorial. A court cannot try you if you are outside its jurisdiction, he stated, explaining that if a defendant is abroad, the court cannot impose a sentence or enforce its ruling, lacking any coercive power over them. He warned that allowing defendants to attend hearings remotely from abroad could enable individuals to escape jurisdiction, attend court sessions, and evade the full consequences of their actions. This could severely weaken the legal process, he argued. While acknowledging that virtual hearings might be appropriate for defendants unwilling to appear in person, Nandlal insisted on the necessity of distinguishing between those who refuse to submit to the court's jurisdiction and those who are absent for legitimate reasons. He cautioned, "Imagine if every person charged with an offense simply fled the country and continued attending hearings virtually. It would render the entire judicial system impotent." The Attorney General also outlined procedural options available to the court in such cases. He noted that if a defendant absconds or refuses to comply with the court's jurisdiction, the law permits the court to proceed with the case in their absence. This could involve issuing arrest warrants and interpreting the defendant's absence as a refusal to participate in their defense. In these instances, the court may even proceed to deliver a sentence in absentia if it determines that the individual is deliberately avoiding their legal responsibilities. Businessman pleads guilty to murder of ex-wife. Guyana Times. After nearly 6 years of legal proceedings, businessman Ryan Sugrum pleaded guilty to the 2019 murder of his ex-wife, Zyla Sugrum, in the Demerara High Court before Justice Damone Young. This admission marked a sudden end to the long-running trial, with sentencing scheduled for March 18. On May 11, 2019, Zyla Sugrum was fatally shot during a visit to her ex-husband's home in La Union, West Coast Demerara, reportedly to celebrate their son's birthday. The visit escalated into a heated argument after Zyla discovered suspicious numbers on Ryan's phone. According to his police statement, he claimed that during the confrontation, Zyla threatened him with his firearm, leading to a struggle that resulted in the gun discharging and fatally injuring her. In a panic, Sugrum did not report the incident but instead attempted to hide the crime. After checking on his children, he returned to the scene, dragged Zyla's body to the back of his gas station, and set it ablaze with tires and kerosene in an effort to destroy evidence. Neighbors observed the suspicious fire and called the fire service, but Sugrum misled them, claiming he was merely burning garbage. Once the fire subsided, Sugrum buried Zyla's charred remains in a shallow grave in his yard, believing he had successfully concealed the crime. However, his actions raised suspicions among neighbors, who noticed his mud-stained clothing and unusual behavior. On May 12, 2019, Zyla's children began asking for their mother, leading to further inquiries about her whereabouts. Sugrum continued to fabricate stories about a supposed bee nest in the backyard to deter his children from investigating. As concerns grew, Sugrum visited his lawyer and later lodged his firearm with the Tactical Services Unit. When police searched his property, they initially found nothing, but further examination revealed burnt materials and disturbed soil, leading to the discovery of Zyla's remains. CCTV footage from Sugrum's gas station was reviewed, but significant segments were missing, suggesting possible tampering. When confronted about the evidence, Sugrum remained evasive, claiming he would not answer questions. A forensic analysis later confirmed that the remains belonged to Zyla Sugrum. Throughout the investigation, Ryan attempted to justify his actions by blaming his ex-wife for their marital issues, describing her as abusive and dishonest. With his guilty plea, the case has drawn significant attention, highlighting the tragic circumstances surrounding domestic violence and the legal system's response to such heinous acts. Chief Valuation Officer faces charges over false property valuation. Julian Barrington, the Chief Valuation Officer of the Guyana Revenue Authority, GRA, appeared before the Georgetown Magistrates Court on Wednesday morning to respond to charges filed by the GRA's Fraud Division. Barrington, a resident of Block 3 Providence, East Bank Demerara, stood before Magistrate Faith McGusty. He is charged under Section 111(1)(b)(i) of the Income Tax Act, Chapter 81:01, for allegedly aiding in the creation of a fraudulent property valuation. According to the charge, on or around February 19, 2024, at Lot 237 Camp Street, Cummingsburg, Georgetown, Barrington purportedly assisted in producing a falsified certificate of value for a property located at Lot 129, Area El Lusignan, East Coast, Demerara. The certificate in question falsely claimed that the property had been developed, excavated of topsoil, sand-filled, and leveled, when in reality, no such work had been done. This case raises significant concerns regarding the integrity of the property valuation process in Guyana and highlights the potential legal repercussions for individuals involved in fraudulent activities. The court proceedings are expected to shed light on the matter as the investigation continues. If you bribe an officer, you're part of the problem, President Ali. Newsroom. President Dr. Irfan Ali has reinforced a zero-tolerance policy against bribing law enforcement officers, issuing a stern warning to civilians to refrain from such actions to evade the law. Speaking at the opening of the Guyana Police Force's annual officers' conference, President Ali emphasized, "If you try to bribe an officer, you're part of the problem." Addressing police ranks from across the country, he underscored the critical role of the police in serving and protecting the nation and its citizens. "There are laws that every citizen must adhere to, respect, and honor," he stated. Dr. Ali also highlighted the importance of approachability within the police force. He urged officers to foster a sense of comfort and safety among the community, saying, "People must feel comfortable coming to you." He emphasized that police uniforms should be seen as symbols of safety and compassion, rather than fear. The president touched on pressing issues faced by the police, including domestic violence, child safety, and protection, indicating that these matters require a specialized approach and skill set. To effectively address these challenges, he asserted that the force must be developed in a way that prepares officers to handle such cases in the future. We want our men and women in uniform to be elevated, to look at themselves as professional experts in specific areas, Dr. Ali concluded, reiterating the need for continuous development within the police force. Over 600 senior, subordinate police ranks promoted as force kicks off annual conference. Newsroom. The Guyana Police Force has announced the promotion of over 600 officers across both subordinate and senior ranks, marking a significant development for the organization. The long-awaited promotion list, released on Wednesday, reflects a new chapter for the force and is effective from January 1, 2025. Approved by the Police Service Commission, the promotions span various levels, resulting in notable shifts in rank and responsibility. The promoted ranks include officers advancing from assistant superintendent to senior superintendent, with several achieving the position of assistant commissioner, a major milestone in their careers. The announcement coincides with the commencement of the annual Police Officers Conference at Eve Leary, where Commissioner of Police Clifton Hicken and President Irfan Ali, the Commander-in-Chief, will address the ranks. Leading the list of promotions is Traffic Chief Assistant Commissioner of Police Mahendra Singh, who has progressed from Senior Superintendent. This promotion signifies his hard-earned advancement within the force. Other notable promotions include Senior Superintendents D. Moore, K. Mandal, M. Kingston, S. Bacchus, and A. Doss, with a total of 8 senior superintendents elevated to higher ranks, highlighting the commitment of the Guyana Police Force to internal development and leadership. Additionally, Deputy Superintendents A. Austin, M. Ally, and R. Ali, along with Assistant Superintendents J. Grant and R. Clark, received significant promotions. The Police Service Commission has also approved several officers for positions as inspectors and cadet officers, ensuring the development of the next generation of leaders within the force. The release of the promotion list was particularly anticipated, as senior officers had not been promoted since 2022. The gap between the 2022 and 2025 promotions had raised concerns among many within the force, making this announcement a welcome development. Deteriorating Kitty Market lands city engineer in hot water. Qaeda News. The Kitty Market in Georgetown is showing signs of significant deterioration, despite undergoing a series of rehabilitative works that began 9 years ago. City Mayor Alfred Mentor expressed his concerns during a statutory meeting of the Georgetown Council, highlighting that the project remains incomplete. Mayor Mentor requested an update from the City Engineers Department regarding the stalled work on the market. City Engineer Colvern Venture attended the meeting and acknowledged that an assessment of the market would be conducted, with a report to follow. I am learning of some issues that the market is deteriorating, and how are we now hearing of this? Mentor noted, emphasizing the need for an assessment by the General Works Manager, who supervises the project. The Kitty Market has experienced intermittent rehabilitation efforts over the past 9 years, yet remains closed. Councillor Troy Garraway criticized the slow progress, stating that the market should have reopened by September or October of the previous year. We are entering March 2025 and still the market is not ready. Something is wrong, he declared, demanding accountability from the Engineers Department. Garraway argued that instead of focusing on the General Works Officer, the city engineer should be held responsible for the delays, pointing out that Venture had previously requested funds to complete the project. The person that should be made to answer is the city engineer, he stated. In response, the General Works Manager informed the council that ongoing repairs had revealed additional issues with the ceiling that needed attention. Despite the challenges, City Hall has pushed for a deadline by the end of February to ensure the market becomes operational. The restoration project, which commenced in February 2016 under former Town Clerk Royston King, was initially projected to last 9 months. To date, the total allocated budget for the project stands at $240 million, with various funds injected over the years to bring the market closer to completion.